Mikey, tell us, what do you see in this patent application? Is this really going to be Apple's next big thing?
I seriously doubt that this exact iteration is going to make it to the store shelves. We may see facets of it, perhaps, but it's a really radical design. I mean, you've got a full wraparound display, flexible parts, a lot of different things going on that, technology right now I don't think is at the point where Apple can realistically roll something out, within the next 6 months to a year. But definitely, parts are going to make it, I think.
Well, John, that's a good question for you in terms of the next big thing. What do you hear? What's the buzz around this kind of product, an iWatch, if that's what it's called, from Apple?
Well, the nice thing about this story, Sarah, is a picture is changing the conversation. I mean, a week ago, everyone was referencing the Dick Tracy watches. Now we talk about slap-wrap toys that are awesome. I have to go out and get a slap-wrap toy just because they're fun to play with. And, for Apple, even, and Bloomberg has reported that they've got 100 product designers that are working on this type of technology. There are senior engineers that are behind it. So we know Apple has been investing in this area. Whether this is something that actually comes to market or in this form comes to market, the reality is that this market for wearable computing devices may explode. We talk about Google and Google Glass. There was a research report this morning suggesting that potentially 485 million devices in this category could be sold by 2018. If you're Apple, Google, anybody in technology, you've got to be thinking about what the competition's doing and what you might be doing, and that's why you go to the patent office.
John, let me bring it back to Mikey in Hawaii. One of the things I noticed, Mikey, about your report on this particular watch is that to John's point about wearable computing, it does seem to raise some questions about just how much computing power would be in the watch, because it sounds like it might be connected to another device, either via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Kind of sounds to me like RIM's playbook being connected to your BlackBerry.
Right. It's not going to be a standalone device. Right now, I mean, with its own CPU, you're not going to be wearing a smartphone on your wrist. What this is kind of like a secondary display. It's going to connect your smartphone via Bluetooth or maybe even Wi-Fi, something low energy, and it'll display things like maps or maybe points of interest or maybe even tweets. It can do stuff like that. I think that's what we're going to be seeing coming out of Apple from the gate, at least just to start out with, test the waters. Is what I expect.
Mikey, one thing I want to ask, you at Apple Insider, and there are, of course, a number of other blogs that pay very, very close attention to the Apple ecosystem, the Apple universe. Do you sense, maybe panic beginning to form among the Apple community that we haven't seen anything new from Apple for so long?
Well, I mean, that's the question that I actually get asked a lot. As far as a groundbreaking, fresh design, new products, we had the iPad mini in November of last year, and, before that, the iPhone 5. So, I mean, nothing truly exciting. Before, I believe in the third quarter conference call, Tim Cook did say that there were a lot of exciting things in the pipeline, and I do tend to believe him. I think Apple is biding their time. They're going to release the things that they think consumers need when they need it. They're not just going to blow it all at one time.
Well, when you're talking about new products, John, just to broaden this out a little bit, when we're talking about Apple and the iWatch, looks like a bracelet, Google's working on some glasses that we got to look at. Is this the new thing, these wearable technologies, accessories, if you will?
I think so. I mean, you guys have talked about that splashy Sony PlayStation launch in New York yesterday that a lot of people were criticizing, in part because it's really difficult to tell a story right now about a product line that already exists and how it fits into the new world. If you're launching a new game console, you've got to explain how it works into a world with Facebook and iPhones and tablets, if you can change the conversation to being about a product that we really don't know that much about, to Mikey's point, it gets people excited. And I would agree with him. Tim Cook, the CEO, was at a conference here in San Francisco recently. He doesn't seem concerned about what Apple has got in the pipeline. I think the market is concerned because Apple doesn't like to open up the kimono, and you've got companies like Samsung and Google, so many companies that are really trying to push the envelope in the areas that Apple already exists. So it almost creates that pressure, if you will, for the company to come up with the next big thing.